now. So please, let's keep it at that. Now, I started my introduction to the energy matter by referring to or quoting a legal maxim, nemo dat quote non habet, which literally means that you don't give what you don't have. If you don't have it, you don't have it, so you don't give it. Does it come to you strange that in this darkest hour, we are going to Nigeria, and I've been in Nigeria, short time, and I've seen how the situation is there. Almost every individual home has a generator, and there's a lot of noise in a lot of the places. And I'm wondering, how does it work? How does Nigeria give what it doesn't appear to have, so to speak? You may call it sensational. So, in the midst of the latest thing that we now know has become reality, the Minister of Energy was dispatched to Nigeria by the president. Some say that is lack of foresight, that is lack of planning. You should have seen it long coming. Only wait until we are plunged into darkness and then you're running around. It doesn't help. But the news he brought home was that the Nigerian government has expressed commitment towards a continuous supply of gas to Ghana to operate her thermal power plants, because that's the major problem. And we are told that after intense negotiations with the Minister for Petroleum of the Republic of Nigeria, officials of the Nigeria National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC, Shell and Chevron, who together form NGAS, and who are the suppliers of the natural gas to Ghana, that's through the West Africa Gas Pipeline project, the Ghanaian team was briefed about the causes of the low levels of gas supply and assured of a constant supply of some 50 MMB, whatever it says, up to 30 or less being supplied in recent times. And that they are committed to supplying the figure that I spoke about, 50. And so this problem should not be with us for too long. Dr. Park.
Yes, Samson.
Yes. How do you react to the criticisms that that's not how you knee-jerk? You have voted into office to solve the problems. You don't wait until the problems, have taken you by your neck, and then you start telling us what you are trying to do. You should be doing them.
First of all, I think that it is very important that we put things into perspective. We have a growing population, which also indicates that our current production capacity is constantly chasing our demand for power. We have a president who has committed very boldly to achieve for the nation 5,000 megawatts of power by 2016. He is working to achieve that in the medium to long term, but at the same time, he is also actively working to address the issue in the short term. It is true that there is a lot of discomfort, and the president is the first person to admit the negative repercussions of not having adequate and regular power supply. We went through a phase where the issue of erratic power supply gained a lot of currency, to the extent that some, in a very crafty way, tried to suggest that it was perhaps something that could be associated with this president, when indeed that certainly cannot be borne out by the historical evidence. Now, the current situation cannot be said to have come about as a result of government's inability or a lack of foresight in ensuring that we have the adequate power that we need, even if we still do not have the productive capacity to be able to have a reserve. The current situation has been occasioned by three factors. And the president was very bold, honest, to admit this in front of the Western Regional House of Chiefs. I was there with him when he was undertaking the tour of that region. The first reason was the fact that the gas that we get from Nigeria had dropped significantly. And of course, there are a lot of reasons why that is the case. And that was why he sent the Minister for Petroleum and Energy there, which has resulted in some positive outcome. Now, the second reason was the fact that the Taco plant had also suffered some damage, which is currently being fixed. And therefore, the megawatts that we get from that, which is about 200 and, I believe 110 megawatts, is no longer coming into the system. At the same time, too, the Tico plant is being refurbished to double its generational capacity. Now, whether it is by fate or coincidence, all of these three are happening simultaneously and at the same time. I mean, the president is not a soothsayer, and so this could not have been predicted. So for anyone to suggest that what is happening to us today was something that could have been foreseen and perhaps could have been averted, I think that we are not being fair.
When we were celebrating the Ghana's, progress in expanding electricity everywhere and comparing us to South Africa and saying we're doing the best, you should have been thinking about what else was not going on well, and getting the people to act in good time.
These that I have narrated certainly cannot take away the fact that if you look at the coverage in terms of the population, the 75% and almost above coverage, these challenges temporary. And I want to emphasize, does not take away the fact that we have 75% coverage and we are one of the top in the African continent. But in all of this, we have specific solutions that are going to come aboard with our own gas supply. When that comes on stream. It would not only reduce our dependency on Nigeria, but we are also even looking at other alternative sources of energy. So these are temporary challenges that we must accept in as much as they are uncomfortable and quite clearly would have negative repercussions on productivity. They are short term. And so we should be looking at the medium to long term in terms of dealing with this problem once and for all. And nothing that we must bear with government and the president in these unforeseen circumstances, because nobody would have predicted that. There is no way this president would have wanted this to occur. It simply doesn't make sense. Why would he want that?
I'll read some of the text messages and come to Abdul Malik to tell me what he sees about the situation. There are some who don't want to believe what the energy minister is talking about as to Nigeria going to give us everything. And I'm thinking maybe Abdul Malik should send a Tiger Eye that way so that they will fool everything and come and bring us feely what exactly is happening. And talking about Tiger Eye, there's a premiere that's coming up, isn't it? I've seen the advertisement about a premiere about this anti-corruption matters that he's been doing, titled Soul Takers. And I'm reading things like, when greed collides with a dark and deadly world, the innocent blood is spilled in Ghana. I'm like, what is in it? What is it about?
The underground world.
I am not entitled to do a disclosure.
But it's your voice. So.
Yes, but I'm not entitled to do a disclosure.
There's an emphatic statement that innocent blood is spilled in Ghana.
Yes.
And it gets me curious.
Yes, we want to maintain the curiosity. Let it happen and people see.
Okay, let me read these messages. Well, this one from Taifa, and he says, she says that this Tafa in Amrahia. It says, please.
Taifa. Oh, Tafa.
Okay, I think it's Tafa. Tafa is saying, from Amrahia, and he says, please, Samson, ask Mr. Eko to be honest and tell us whether he takes to Nanado coming back or not. Okay, he's shared his opinion already. John Afum says, Samson, please, people say NPP is trying to impose Nanado on us. Ask the NDC if they will allow someone to contest John Mahama. Kwejo Ajiman Duya in the UK says, emotions shouldn't override good intentions on the part of Parliament. As an academic institution, Legon should be allowed to operate as the Act stipulates. Kofi says, Samson, I think the decision of the Legon authority not to allow parents to use their entrance is not the best. Come to KNUST. All residents living around Kote, I know about that, Ibiase, all of them use the KNUST campus road. Yet there is no law banning them, and so you want Legon to take a queue. Well, Legon is telling you that it is not correct, that there's an outright ban of access. Park Ganiu sent from Savligo, the university is trying to set a very bad precedent. If all schools should block their roads in the name of academic reasons, how many roads will be left for the public? And what will be the security implication? The University of Ghana is saying, do you want to come to a university where 16,000 vehicles ply every day? Okay, Solomon says, why can't the university allow the use of those gates between some hours of the day without the stickers? Okay, that's a suggestion. Adam says, if ECG is unable to buy crude because of government is unable to release funds timely, then we must be able to unanimously blame TUC for forcefully compelling government to absorb a cost it was not prepared for. I don't get that exactly.
I think it's related to the tariff adjustment.
I see, because they were against it. Right, I see. The question I put to Kweku is, there are those who say, let's not buy this thing from Nigeria says they are going to supply, because look, be frank with the people. The demand that we need is 2,000, and we know that now the shortfall is about 200 or so, and the capacity to supply is only about 1,800. So, and even that is not reliable. Just tell us and give us a long-term plan rather than trying to deceive the public.
Yes, Apak made an interesting point, and it sent my mind way back into history. The point about the president is not a soothsayer. Yes, I remember Champo saying that
I'm a rural boy.
That was where we were facing drought, you know, and things. So that's it set my mind back then. But the point you're making, the Nigeria thing, to be honest with you, I feel a bit sad that that project, that whole West Africa gas project, is not working as we anticipated. This is something that has been driven since 1995, and it's 4 countries in the sub-region, and it's part of this whole thing about do more regional cooperation, you know, bring our economies together. Very, very noble vision and project, and it ought to work. What's wrong with Africans? You know, so I have a problem that it is disturbing. I don't have the details in terms of the contractual obligations and whether there have been breaches and things. I don't have the details, but it must work. We must make it work. It's just a complement, a supplement to the other efforts that we may be doing within the country. So the minister's visit, it's true, it's a fact that there was a reduction in the supply from Nigeria. We're having challenges. So if a minister visits at the behest of the president to intervene, and if it would help in a small way, fair deal. I have nothing against that. I would have loved president to president, but I'm told there have been those interactions earlier. Whatever it is, whatever will come out of the Nigerian visit, fair deal. We won't throw it away. So I don't think that's it's a useless venture at all. But you made a point about long term, you know, and that's where my worry is. Whilst this West Africa thing is complementary to the other efforts, what is happening to our own gas project that we've made so much noise about? Too many deadlines, too many timelines have been, you know, we fail to meet them, and it leads to a certain sense of despondency and frustration. And it takes me back sometimes to policy shift. Because look, originally, if we had stuck to the original format, we should have had first gas at the time, the first oil. I don't know whether you know that. And the former energy minister, Atani, I recall, in an interview with David, our old friend, David, you know, if you recall,
he used to host a series, Time with David.
David Ampofo.
Yeah.
Yes, I have the transcript here where he admitted, that the previous government, this is Otiaje, David was asking, how is it possible when we understand that these things take two to 3 years to complete? He was talking of the gas plant. The minister's answer was that the previous government agreed to fast track the process. We came, we looked at the whole policy, and we committed ourselves to it. And as I'm talking to you, people who want to manage the gas have submitted their proposals to the GMPC. He was clear in his mind that we will be able to complete that project before first oil in the last quarter of 2010. Some policy shift occurred because people decided that, look, abandon this original format, let's go chase Chinese money for the project. All those policy shifts affected the timelines. So we are part of the problem. We need to take part of the blame for this, because otherwise, if we had kept to the schedule, I am sure with this problem from the Nigerians, we will still have enough from our own local sources.
Our own gas. Now we are talking about June to have it. And people like very, undisputably very good assets in the industry, Dr. Charles Rekubrobe, says this is a husk.
Well, he's an expert. He's an expert, and I know he's a good one at that.
He says it's a husk.
If he says that, I'm hoping that he will be wrong. Let me be honest with you. I'm hoping. But if we are talking pure competence, pure technical knowledge, he's one of the best. Not the only one, but he's one of the best. But I'm hoping he will be wrong with a prediction. Because honestly, we want a solution. We don't want the subculture of lamentation, excuses, apologies. It's getting too much.
He says that the money is to even lay the pipelines to Atuabu, the money isn't there.
He knows better than I do when it comes to these areas. I'm not about to challenge him, but I say I hope the June deadline will be met. Otherwise, you see, every time, and this is going to affect people's commitment to that so-called automatic adjustment formula. That philosophy that comes with it, that if we pay more, then we will have efficient service. The more such situations reoccur, people lose faith in that so-called philosophy. And for that matter, it becomes difficult to manage the power sector.
Mr. Ekwetu, now government has come public, apologized for, as you don't like the taste of how I put it, but pardon me, I don't have any other way. They have sat down and allowed us to be plunged into darkness. They've apologized for that. But there are those who say the gas pipeline project, that is it. We have a contract. We have a contract that ought to be obeyed. The contract is not being, obeyed strictly. Some say either cancel the contract or insist that the contract is implemented to the dictates.
Well, as far as I know, it is not like a one-country business. It's a multi-treaty which was done along the West Coast. I mean, when I was Attorney General, this thing gave us a lot of headache when it came to preparing the agreement. Some wanted the definitions to come first. We said we are Ghanaians, we always put our interpretation at the end. And it led to a whole lot of fights. But eventually it was done and sent to Parliament, was approved and all that. And I believe Nigeria also assisted Ghana to pay, our portion at the time. So we were able to pay and, but I don't think it's being managed properly, because very often we hear problems with the seawater and things having gone into the underground pipes, and people doubt whether these things are true. So I wouldn't say that it is not a viable thing. It is. Because if Nigeria is flaring the gas and it is necessary that it is rather brought down to be used for energy and the rest, then why not? They will all have some kind of advantage in improving our energy supply. Except that, you see, sometimes when we take Ghanaians for granted, it leaves much to be desired. It was this president who said Ghanaians have very short memories, and that they have solved the energy crisis. If you do recall, and he doesn't see why we're not talking about that. I think it was one that even Bui, was not running on full capacity. At the time, it was only 2 turbines or so that had been turned on. Later on, the others were also turned on. Is the government telling us, that they are not aware of any population expansion and that more and more people need energy? I mean, as cabinet, they should always be thinking about it, because energy is not something which you provide once and you think you've solved a problem. We're trying to, connect people to the national grid. And as you rightly pointed out, when we make propaganda of it to say that we have the largest penetration, outside South Africa and all that, as if we are taking credit for the so-called connection to the grid without looking at the effects. If you bring more people onto the grid at a time, which would eventually affect others. Now, people are really suffering. People cannot sleep at night. There's so much, heat around. And for many businesses, I can talk for myself. Lawyers, we have to file things within a certain, there are time limitations. And if your generator set should break down, you're going to have a difficulty. You can't work. The room becomes difficult.
That is for you who has one. Those who don't have a generator set.
Can you imagine? And we, like the sociologists will tell us, we decide to be muddy. Muddy means putting glass windows and doors everywhere. So we've shut out all the fresh air, which could have come in if we were using louvers. But almost every modern house has got this kind of mirrors and glazing. So we can't afford not to, work on generating more energy. We need it. The businessmen are suffering. They're buying so much diesel,
but you are not
oil,
saying, Mr.
and all that.
You are not saying that you are unaware of the very practical moves that government has taken in adding to the power that we have.
You put the question, why did they wait? We brought on only 2 turbines. They were making noise. Now we have solved the problem. Didn't we realize the difficulties that await us? We didn't. As if we were just interested in making propaganda. Now it is caught up with us. It's caught up. I mean, nobody felt when they were talking with that, confidence that they've solved the problem. We have very short memories. They didn't realize it will come back. And it has just come back. They are now sending people running around. Now they are talking about Tico and so and so. We saw all these things. We worked on Bui Dam and the rest. Didn't they use it against us during campaign? That we're not able to solve these difficulties? Why are they asking us to be patient with them? We are suffering in the land, and they should work on it. That is all there is to it.
James, do you find Ghanaians to be a very difficult lot, or what? That this is a government that has come forward to say, sorry, we apologize. All you are going through, we understand. And like Dr. Park said, this was unforeseen. The president is not a soothsayer to have predicted whatever. And it's come on us. And he says, we're sorry, but tells you that we are taking step 1, 2, 3 to sort things out for you to be comfortable. And yet, people are saying, take your apology. We don't want it.
Sorry, Dr. Apak was spot on when he said, yes, the problems we are faced with at the moment are due to certain unforeseen circumstances, and that the president is not a soothsayer. That statement has not been impeached by anybody.
Somebody was
I have listened carefully.
You know Dr. Kwabena?
Yes.
You know him?
Yes.
He says it's self-inflicted.
Nana
Akufo-Addo says it's Ghana-made.
Sabi, I have had occasion to disagree with Dr. Kwabena Donko when I appeared on your newspaper analysis program a few days ago. I have a serious problem with the assertions of Nanadu that the energy crisis we are faced with at the moment are self-inflicted. Now, Sami, if you listen to all the analysis people are making carefully, I am yet to hear anybody say the current crisis are as a result of negligence on the part of government. hard as they try to rubbish the president's statement when he delivered himself on the State of the Nation in Parliament recently, that Ghanaians, some people had short memories and that the crisis were a thing of the past. I mean, how can somebody fault the president for making that statement? Because at the time the president made that statement, we had not started experiencing a fluctuation in terms of the supplies that we, receive from the West African Gas Pipeline Company. It only started not too long ago, and quite naturally, some of our thermal plants had to shut down.
We had a contract with them. They were not supplying to the dictates of their contract, and yet we kept quiet.
Yes, the reason why we kept quiet was because at least we could fire some of our thermal plants to at least generate enough energy to be able to feed the needs of Ghanaians up to 2,000 megawatts. But the moment the shortfall became so pronounced, I mean, figures dropped to as low as 30 million standard cubic feet, then we started having problems. That is the volume a plant like Asogoli alone needs to be able to operate. And yet that plant operates solely on gas. And so when people come out there to say the president, lied to Ghanaians and so on, you want to ask yourself whether these are objective analysis of what is really happening on the ground. And I always prefer to take us back to our own record and history. You see, in 2006, President Kufuor was faced with a similar problem when water in the Akosombo Reservoir went very low because of the low rainfall amounts we had recorded over the period. President Kufuor came out, and this is the news bulletin. I can read it for the benefit of our listeners.
Your listeners are not interested in this.
No, it's
They're
important.
interested in the present.
It is important. Let us remind ourselves about the past, because the president made a statement which was the subject of criticism, that he had lied to Ghanaians and that the president is incapable of solving the problem.
He had promised to solve it, and he had told the whole nation that he had solved it.
Yes, he had. And I made it very clear that we didn't have this problem
until what's the point of the comparison you are seeking to make?
The point I'm trying to make is that President Kufuor had this to say to Ghanaians when he was faced with a similar crisis. He said, and this is how it was, President Kufuor was reported in 2006. President Kufuor said, the problem was not the result of negligence on the part of government or for want of it doing the right thing. He therefore appealed to the people to be patient with the system as efforts were being made to fix it. President Kufuor said it was to help to ensure adequate supply of affordable energy to drive the economy that the government raised a $40 million loan to buy into the West Africa gas pipeline project. The project, delayed because of the volatile situation in the Nigerian Delta region, will now come on stream by the first quarter of 2007.
That should be sufficient.
Right. Now,
what did you say then?
Sorry. Let me build my point. You have your turn. Now, the point I'm making is that, as Dr. Park rightly put it, this government in the short term think that we must negotiate with the Nigerians to increase gas supplies. Now, the Nigerians may have genuine concerns, and I am privy to some information. Quite recently, I attended a summit in London, and I met some of the officials. I won't name them because the discussions we had were very confidential. But there are challenges with regards to the security of the pipelines. Time would outnumber, the pipelines have been breached over the period by the activities of pirates. Now, some of our neighbors obviously do not have the capacity to police these pipelines. It is time we brought our navies together, to cooperate, to protect the pipelines. That is one factor you can't run away from. In August last year, when we had problems, it was as a result of a pirate ship which ran into the pipeline when it was being pursued by the Togolese authorities, which resulted in the crisis we faced at the time. Today, they are saying that there are breaches. So these are the genuine concerns we should all address our minds to try to find solutions, lasting solutions. If we are not able to do that, we would continue to face some of these problems. But in the long term, this government has invested heavily in the gas infrastructure at Etuabo. Just as President Kufuor found it necessary to raise a loan of 40 million to buy into the West African gas pipeline project, this president also has the vision to see to the early completion of the Etuabo gas infrastructure.
What do you say about this?
A whopping amount of 750 million is being invested there.
What do you say about this, Dr. Park? And the two of you, I find, you're from government and you are refusing to accept any, blame whatsoever in respect of planning. And when I quoted the Member of Parliament for Pru, and who is also the chairman of the Parliament Select Committee on Mines and Energy, Dr. Kwabena Donko, he put the blame squarely on lack of planning. And he was saying that stakeholders ought to have planned. Now, this is what he told Evans Mensah on Joy. He said the finance ministry had failed to release funds for other contingency plans, and that is what has led us to where we are now. Otherwise, this could have been avoided. So you see why some will blame, the administration.
Well, first of all, I fail to understand the source of this information. But as far as I know, I don't have any iota of truth to profess in support of the claim that he has made. And therefore, it makes it very difficult for me to say that what he has said is justified. But I definitely reject the suggestion that we are where we are as a result of planning by this government. I mean, if you look at the president's pronouncements over the last few years, at least last year and this year, the issue of generating enough energy not only to satisfy our domestic need, but to even export, has been a very important one.
Right.
And therefore, it tells you that a lot of planning has been done. And that is why when he says that, look, these are short-term challenges largely exacerbated by the unforeseen, if you like, connivance of the effort to double the generational capacity by one of our thermal plants, which requires work to be done at a time when the gas that is coming to us from Nigeria is or was at its abysmally low point, versus when we are also having the other plant which has to be fixed. So, I mean, this that I've narrated, doubling the generational capacity is planning. Fixing a plant that has broken down, quite clearly, requires some planning. The portion that we don't have control over, by and large, in this three-pronged situation that has led us to a three-pronged event that has led us to where we are, is the low volumes of gas that comes to us from Nigeria, to which James has very eloquently explained.
Right.
So these are not conditions that, would suggest that there is a lack of planning. But the medium to long term is for us to have our independence.
Okay,
and
so
that can only come about.
What will you tell Ghanaians on the back of the apology that was sent?
That they should be patient, and that government is working very assiduously to address that. The fact that the Minister for Petroleum and Energy was dispatched to Nigeria immediately should tell you that this is something that government attaches a lot of importance to. The fact that, senior, you are trying to break my flow here. the fact that, another delegation has actually gone to China to bring on board another component specifically to ensure that we are on time in terms of completing the gas infrastructure should also tell you that government is very serious about tackling this issue, not only in the short term, but also in the long term, because it has implications for the economic gains of this country and the transformational change that the president continues to talk about.
I'll take your final words on this briefly, but Kimba in Suhum says, Samson, Ghana is simply almost grinding to a halt. Watching Newsfile is becoming difficult. My lights have gone off twice. Currently, there is no light at almost the whole of Suhum. What exactly is happening to this country of ours? Aviaka, I hope I got your name right, says, was the drop in supply of gas sudden? We should stop defending our failures by saying we are one of the top in Africa. Al-Hassan in Tamale says, a drowning man sees every straw or weak stem as relief to hold on to from drowning. I don't see how Nigeria can help address the insufficient supply of gas to Ghana. I have never been comfortable with the arrangement to get gas from Nigeria. If our own gas supply will delay, I suggest we turn our attention to other nations, even if they are far away from us. It is better than Nigeria. Chureko says, you are living in a country called Ghana, which lies 5 degrees north of the equator, and you cannot produce the necessary energy to power your industries. What else do you want us to do for you as a government? Says, greed is our hallmark. We will not get anywhere with this. Brian Hohoy says, Africans must unite to fight terrorism. I believe the gas problem can be attributed to the Boko Haram issue. Peter Odomko says, please ask the energy minister if Ghana owe the Nigerian government, since the government owes every institution in this country. Muhammad Abbas says, Samson, the institution managing our energy sector has failed us after Nkrumah left us. Lack of proper planning and load forecasting has been their problem. Go to the north and assess the rate of windfall and wind flow and sunshine, yet no single expert within our energy sector is thinking about using renewable hybrid energy as alternative. Well, I can tell you what you are talking about is in the manifesto of all the political parties. In fact, I have been at the KNUST program that they organize every election, and they have spoken at length, giving us very lofty plans about renewable
but we've
energy.
solar in the
NDC is talking about Energy for All 2016, is it?
Yes.
We'll see. Now, Koku, the very final point on this, and we should be looking forward to how we manage in the present situation. Forget about all the inefficiencies of the VRA, ECG, or whoever they are.
Accusing me of doing mischief.
President Kufuor had raised is it 40 million so to buy equity in the West Africa gas pipeline project. He had gone to China to contract loan for the construction of the Bui Dam and so many other things. The Sakem project, which I'm told has now been re-engineered at, is a con. All those things were ongoing whilst we were having these challenges, and our friends
will not give any credit.
Response was that of cynicism. And I asked my brother, and I agree, we should move forward. But I asked him a question he didn't answer. And I've been hearing Asampa, we've been playing back some parliamentary proceedings where my own brother Arun Edrusu is captured so well. That was their response to both short-term and long-term plans by the Kufuor administration to cure the energy mischief. But I agree, we might as well put that behind us and focus on the new challenges and deal with the issue. Let them look, and I mean government, look for cash to buy light crude oil to power some of those plants. Whilst we wait for the gas to come online. Let them look for the cash. There's cash in this country.
Okay. Baba in Tamale says, Russians supply America and Europe with gas, but they face these problems. Let's go to final words, 1 minute or less.
Well, you are elected to solve problems. You come pass the buck and complain, or sometimes come and apologize to people, having taunted us that we have short memories.
Well, Sabi, I think that the government is doing all it can within its power to reasonably find solutions to the problems we are faced with. We do ask Ghanaians to be patient with us whilst we fix the problems. Very soon, the Tuabo would start producing gas. And when we're able to generate 120 million...
The Tuabo that others are saying, experts are saying, is a host.
Well, I disagree with whoever said that. But let's...
As regards the June deadline you are giving, because there's no money to do the wires that you need, the pipelines.
Well, as Dr. Pak
from
said,
Tuabo to join
Dr. Pak said, we have dispatched a team to go and facilitate the early release of funds for us to complete the project.
Right. Okay, thank you very much, gentlemen.
I don't get the last word.
You spoke last before I got to him, and I'm sure you spoke well.
I guess
let's leave it there.
But we can also complement the effort by, putting off our gadgets if and when we have the opportunity to have lives.
Thank you very much. The show has been brought to you by the candid sponsorship of MTN. Everywhere you go, welcome to the new world. It's been brought to you by Lipton Tea, inspiration flowing from nature. Errata Motors, that is where you get the best vehicles at the best prices. Star Assurance, that is your solid partner. And of course, Sasso, Kum Intuntum Preko. My outfit, as always, is provided for by Latida. Call Latida on 0265 650 918 or 024 336 444, and they will make sure you look very, very, very sharp. Now, my guest David Abdul Malik Kwekubako Jr., he is the editor-in-chief of the New Crusading Guide newspaper. Dr. Clement Park is a presidential staffer. Mr. Aikwe Otu is a former attorney general. He's a private legal practitioner. James Agalga is MP and Deputy Interior Minister. I'm Samson Ladi Ayanini. This show is repeated at 9:30 on this same platform on television. You can also catch it in London and say thanks. I'm reminded to say thanks to our listeners, our viewers across Freetown, Sierra Leone, including all other places in the sub-region. Thank you very much for making this your #1 dial. Now, the people who have helped in bringing the show to you, Yaya Abubakar has been directing television. Emmanuel Ante has been assisting with production. So is Samuel Odame and Nicholas Opoku. This was produced under the executive leadership of Sedem Ofori. Have a good afternoon.